Hi guys, this is Somyajit. Today we are going to discuss dependency injection using Dagger 2 in Android development. So just to start off, uh, I just want to say that this is my first video tutorial. I am starting to discuss few things regarding Dagger 2, and why I chose Dagger 2 as my first video is I feel that Dagger 2 has a really big potential to solve our day-to-day Android development. It will help us a really long way using the by solving the most the very basic thing about dependency injection, which can be really critical in when we are gonna develop big level Android applications. So just to start off, I would like to say that these are the things we will explore today. That what is Dagger 2, and a little bit about is where from where it came and all of those stuff, and why Dagger 2, why we are gonna use it, and what are the things it is gonna solve. And furthermore, what is dependency injection? Because from that only Dagger 2 came up, and how Dagger 2 is going to help us. That is really one big thing. And apart from that, the pillars of Dagger 2, and okay, and I'm gonna show you the whole implementation process using Kotlin as a language and MVP architecture pattern I will follow throughout, and I will take retrofit as the dependency which I will inject through Dagger 2. Now, what is dependency injection? Guys, we might not know. There are few incidents where we think that we do not know properly what is dependency injection is. But what I believe is every one of us, everyone who are developing in Java or Android or anywhere, they are using dependency injection uh, as any means in their projects. So just to explain this thing, what is dependency injection actually is, so I have taken a class here, that is a parent class, and where I have defined a field variable of type B. Maybe B is another class, and in the constructor of A, what I have done is I have passed an instance of B, which I am setting to the field variable value. So this is all it is. So here class A is dependent of B, of a type of class of a of a instance of a variable of type B. So that is all. That is the dependency injection. We are injecting an type of B in the constructor of A. So that is actually a constructor injection. There are multiple types of injection that we'll go through. And regarding the Kotlin, the Kotlin implementation, here I have not introduced that B inside constructor. I have taken just init block to initialize that B value, which I am passing as the dependency to the field variable. So that was a little bit basic implementation. But in our day-to-day Android development, we might need certain dependencies which are dependent on a lot of factors. So maybe there is one thing we require, and that requires different levels of dependencies altogether to build that one for us. So that to explain that one, I have taken an example that in our application we might need retrofit to make our network calls, and retrofit in hand needs OK HTTP client and JSON. And also now OK HTTP client also needs HTTP cache, and HTTP cache needs an instance of application. Now just guys, just think about this one. When maybe in your one class you need a retrofit instance, and you have defined a method where that will return you that retrofit that you will use to call the network to make the network calls. But just before calling that particular method which will return you the retrofit, you have to make sure that you have OKHTTP client and JSON just to create the retrofit builder instance. And for that one also, so you have to call again get JSON as well as get OKHTTP client. Those are the probably the two methods also you have defined. Now to get OKHTTP client, you have to make sure that okay, just to build OKHTTP client, I need another HTTP cache. So again, you have to make another call to get HTTP cache, and again HTTP cache needs application. So probably in your custom application, on create method, you have to assign a variable to your application which will hold your application instance, and you have to pass it through to HTTP cache. So this is well and good. This is how we are gonna go. We probably go for the conventional way. But just imagine this is one single, maybe one single class is taking so just to think about this one, you need retrofit. And for to get retrofit, and you have to, you just to be sure that okay, you got retrofit which is working, you have written so much of boilerplate codes. Maybe that is well and okay for one class, but down the line, maybe in the same application in a separate class, you again need retrofit. So again, you are going to go through all of this. No way, right? So that is where Dagger 2 comes up into picture. So when you define dependency injection using Dagger 2, what Dagger 2 will do, it will create a graph of dependencies where each and everyone are dependent on each and everybody. So the graph which I have shown here, the Dagger 2 which it will generate might look like this. I mean, not through the complete not in depth of the complete implementation, but probably it may be somehow connected like this. And what Dagger 2 will do, in the runtime, it will go into the leaf node. So when I talk about leaf node, what leaf node is, it will go to that dependency which no longer required another dependency. So Dagger 2 will first create application instance for you, and alongside it will give that application to HTTP cache, and furthermore it will come back to you by providing the retrofit instance that you need. So for this one, I have defined this to from retrofit to HTTP cache as API module, and the last one as app module. So I have not yet described what is module, what is a component, and all of this. But just to have a little bit, just to make your guys aware that what is about to come. So that is why I defined that way, so that in coming minutes, it will be very easier for you guys to recollect this picture, and go through the implementation when I will implement that one. So this is what I have already described about that fun retrofit. It gives you retrofit, and it takes JSON OK HTTP client, and OK HTTP client takes HTTP cache, and all those things. And now just all things are good. Now we will mostly come up to what is Dagger 2, and how Dagger 2 is gonna make our life easy. So Dagger 2 is one of the dependency, it's gonna give you the dependency injection. It will make your life so much easy in terms of dependency injection by providing all the dependencies that you need. It works in Hollywood principle. So what Hollywood principle is, that you don't really call for the dependencies are gonna come up to you. So that is how Dagger 2 is gonna work. Before Dagger 2, there was Juice and Dagger 1 also. So, but the basic difference between Dagger 2 and Juice and Dagger 1 is, Juice, in terms of Juice, what happened, you define all the configuration, but if there is any problem in the configuration how you defined, it will throw an error in the runtime, not in the compile time. So that is a really big obstacle in terms of application development. And for Dagger 1, only the thing that was there, that it used reflection in some in case of solving the dependencies for you. So that we all know that in terms of Android development, if we use Java reflection API, it takes a lot of time. Sometimes it takes a little bit time. It is a time taking process. So it's better always not to use reflection, where we can omit that one. So that is how Dagger 2 came up in the picture, because it gives you, even if you create any error in the configuration process, that will Dagger 2 will let you know at the compile time, so that it won't be any big fuss for you in the runtime. And Dagger 2 works in separate, Dagger 2 has three major parts of that one. It works in annotation processes, and one of them is module. And in this slide, I will be mostly focusing on module and provides. So what module is a basic class where you will be having your methods. So just think that you need a retrofit instance in in some variable, there you need to inject that dependency, that retrofit dependency. So what you have to do, you have to create a module class, and you have to annotate that class with module, and inside that you have to write just a function that get retrofit or something like that, which will be providing you the which Dagger will get to know that okay, this is the function I have to look for in order to give the retrofit instance that the variable requires. So for that, you have to, all you have to do, inside that class you have to annotate with at the rate module, and in the function that you will write, you have to annotate that with at the rate provides. That's all, guys. Nothing fancy, nothing difficult like that. So now in one module there might be multiple functions that you will write, and just to make everything sense, what the Android developers, all what the developers think that is good for them is they segregate the modules according to the type. So let's say they define one is as a network module. They might define where they will be they will be having all sort of dependencies that they require at the time of network, like take it as an example that they might write there all the methods which will give them retrofit, json, okay, http client, http cache, and all those things. They might have another module which will define them the application instance, and they might write at an app module. They might have another thing called a preference module, where they might return the shared preference that they need to hold certain things at the application of certain data of the user in persistently. So there might be certain situations that you come across, and you might define separate modules for separate your requirements. So that is up to you guys how you are going to define your architecture. Now comes at the rate inject. So at the rate inject is very smooth thing. All you guys have to do is, you will be having your variable or your constructor or your method where you are gonna need that dependency. So in the at the rate in the class which is annotated by at the rate module, you will be having your function which will be annotated by at the rate provides, and Dagger will know from here I have to give retrofit instance to where, that is the thing, to a variable or to a constructor or to a method. So so where it is actually needed, that is where you have to annotate with at the rate inject. So probably you might have a variable of retrofit that you will be defining in certain class that you require to make the network calls, and you just have to annotate it with at the rate inject, and that's all. Dagger will know, okay, this is where I have to put the retrofit that I am gonna get from the module class. That's all. Now comes component. So with at the rate module, we know Dagger knows that okay, this is where I have to pick up the dependency, and with at the rate inject, Dagger knows that this is where I have to give the dependency. But what at the rate component will do? Component is an interface which you will be annotating with again at the rate component, and it will act as the bridge between these two. It will make sure okay that Dagger will get this from here and go give it to them. So it's basic thing. So what component gives you is a privilege to you might define all those modules in separate class, but component will make sure that they are all clubbed together, so that in it may so I have probably I have given you guys the this one here, this graph. You can see that there is one API module and a app module, but these are two different class. But but at the runtime, what Dagger will do, in with the help of component, if you have to pass all the modules in the component, that with that Dagger will get to know okay, maybe it is http cache inside API module, but it needs a the instance of application which is defined in app module. So once you declare API module as well as app module in your component, Dagger will know that okay, these are the modules where I have to look for dependencies. So even if they are scattered across, but as long as you define in your component that these are the modules to look for, Dagger will make sure that you get what you require. So that's it from the presentation and theoretical point of view. Now I will mostly focus on the implementation part. So guys, this is my build gradle, and here I have defined these are my two dependencies for Dagger, and I have to use kapt because I am using Kotlin. The guys who are using Java, they might need to use annotation processor here. And one more thing, guys, I'll be using completely Kotlin and MVP architecture pattern for it. So for this application, for this presentation. And what I will do, I will share you guys all the code base for this one. So even if you really like to make it as a structure for your next up and coming projects where you are going to really use Dagger 2, it might come in handy. And also the guys who are not completely aware of Kotlin, the guys who are prefer of Java as of now, you guys can comment or anything you guys can tell me. I will be making sure that I will upload the same skeleton project in Java also, and probably I might have a little bit presentation like this one in Java also. So basic funda should be clear as of now, but in the implementation I might make another video for you guys where I'll be implementing everything in Java, and I'll share that obviously with you guys. So, okay. So just to start off, I would really like to say you guys that this is, here I'll be mostly focusing on how I approach to any project where I require Dagger 2. So first thing first, what I will do, I'll go into my, you know, I'll go into my Java package, and there I'll be creating a application class, custom application class I'll be creating, because this is where I can pass the application instance. This is from where I can pass a application instance, because the on create of this the custom application, as long as you define that in the Android manifest that this is my application name, this is the first thing that is gonna get called once your application launches. So, and it is very easy for me to pass the application instance if I need in any dependency for that one. Now my next step will be to create a package here, and that I will name at DI. DI is dependency injection short form, guys. And here firstly I will be creating my modules. So for app module, what I have done is basic simple thing. I have created a class, as I already told you guys, and I have annotated that with @module. Now this app module class, all it does, it will be having a function which will be which will be returning a instance of application, and that I will get as a parameter of this class, and that so this is where it gets basic, a little bit complicated, because you might think that okay, we are using dependency injection just because we don't want it to pass like this. So what here it will be, what I will be doing is, in my custom application class, once I built the component of Dagger, I will be inside my component I will be instantiating these two modules also, and my app module will be needing an application instance only one time from there, and which it can pass several times as long as you require through it through Dagger. And in the API module, I'll be having an API module. Here I'll be annotating that with @module again, and in the API module I'll be defining all sorts of methods which will be which I'll be requiring for making network calls, like provide retrofit, provide OKHTTP client. See, retrofit takes JSON and OKHTTP client, and here from here Dagger will get to know that okay, if I need a instance of JSON type, I have to look for a function which returns me back with the object of JSON type here. So Dagger will know that okay, this is the method from where I'll be getting that, and it will get that from here and pass it here. Okay, HTTP client, same thing. Dagger will get from here and here. And okay, for okay HTTP client, Dagger will know okay, it needs a cache. It will get from here to here. And for cache, the Dagger will see that okay, it needs an application. Dagger will go here and take it from here and pass it here. Now again, these are the two separate modules. How Dagger will know that in order to pass this here, I have to look for this one? That is where component comes up. So you go into my components class and component interface, and you see that here what I am doing is I am making a API component, because I have named it like that. You can make your component name as whatever you want, and that is where I am passing all the module names to Dagger. So for by looking these two class names, by looking at these two class, Dagger will get to know okay, any dependency I might need to return back, I have to look for these two classes. And here I will be defining a method of you can name it this method as you want. And here all you have to pass the class where you need the dependency. So I'll be making it more clear. So maybe the retrofit where you need the actual retrofit instance to go, that variable is in main activity presenter. So that is what you have to pass here. So if you can see my main activity presenter, see here I have defined a variable which is having a type of retrofit, and this is what you have to pass here, because I need this retrofit instance to be sent to this variable, and this variable is placed in main activity presenter. So all I have to pass is main activity presenter here. Now, once you, and again, the variable or the constructor or the methods where you need the dependency using Dagger 2, you have to annotate that with @inject. And for this project, I will be showing you the field injection. Maybe down the line, in some project I might show you guys constructor and method injection. So as long as you do these things, all you have to do, you have to go to your build and rebuild your project. And if all of your dependencies are sorted, then Dagger will create Dagger will generate the classes for you which are needed by Dagger to create that dependency graph that I was talking about. So you will be finding that one inside your project level hierarchy app, build and generated and kapt. For me it will be in kapt because I am using Kotlin. And inside that component you will be finding Dagger API component. See that these are all generated files. And uh, why Dagger named it as Dagger API component? Because the component that I have defined, I have named it as API component. If you name it as fun component or app component, Dagger will name it as Dagger fun component or Dagger app component. That is up to you guys to decide what you are gonna name to your component. Now, API client is an interface which I'll be using for to make the uh, network calls using retrofit. Probably you guys already know what retrofit is, and if you don't if you are not aware of retrofit, you might comment that one also. I might make another separate video for making network calls using retrofit. And for that one, this is my data model that you see. And data model is the model class that I have defined, and this is the type of the response that I will be getting back. That is why I have defined this one, because retrofit makes it easy, very easy. Once you define that one, retrofit will be able to parse it and give it back to you the result. Now here I have wrapped it with call because I want this API call to happen in asynchronous mode, and also I need a callback for this one so that I can know, okay, error happened or I got my data back or something like that. So what I will do here, once you rebuild your project, you will be going to your sample application, and here you will be having your you have to define a variable and of your component class, component interface. And you have to create the, you have to you have to make the builder of the API component that Dagger will generate for you. And there you have to pass your app module and your API module. Now in this API module I have passed my base URL. Here you can see that this is what it takes, and base URL of the retrofit, because that is what I need for my API call to happen. And that's it guys. And one of the things in your sample in your custom application class, you have to have another function which will be returning back the component which, using which Dagger will inject all those dependencies that you need at the runtime. So that inject method that will come up handy in the class where you need your dependency to come. So in main activity presenter, I need my dependency to come. There I have my field variable called retrofit, which will take the dependency. And all you have to do, you have to have your application instance, and you have to typecast it to your custom application. So and that has your, there you have defined your this method which will be giving you back the API component. And that is what I have done. I have called get API component, and inside that component you have defined your inject function that I am gonna call. And why it is taking main activity presenter? Because see guys, here in the in my API component I have defined this method which takes main activity presenter. Why main activity presenter? Again, because this is where I need my dependency to come using Dagger. That basic thing. I guess you guys have already got it, how things are happening inside Dagger. And in it is the block. And one thing guys, again I probably didn't mention this. All these functions that you see inside my module, I have annotated that with @singleton again, with @provides. Just that is because all these function all these things that are happening here, these are expensive process, and I really don't want it to happen multiple times. As long as I require the same thing, because I need a retrofit dependency. And for that one, what is the point of uh, you know yeah, asking Dagger to create all to call all this and again create all these variables multiple times when I will call for retrofit multiple times. I What I need is you make all these things one time and give it back to me, because I need only the same retrofit instance every time. So that is what I have done by providing the annotation of @singleton everywhere. And as the component also knows that okay, whatever the functions inside the module is written in singleton, so you can again create this component also annotate that with @singleton also, that is fine. Now the main thing comes up. What I am doing, I am taking the retrofit here. As long as as long as you have this command executed here, Dagger will make sure that this variable has your retrofit instance. It will go through your API component once this one comes up, and your API component knows these are the two files I have to look for, and it will create the dependency graph for you, and it will give it back to you, the retrofit instance. Once you have that retrofit. And one more thing guys, I am using Kotlin. So for init, what init is the first block of so any code you rewrite inside init block, once your parent class gets instantiated, that is the first block of code that is gonna get executed. So that is how I am doing this one. Inside that, in the init block, my first command is to inject the variable in using Dagger. And then of course I am using on init view of main view, where I am just defining some simple stuff, progress dialog and all those stuffs, nothing fancy man here. And what I am doing is on init presenter I am calling, and there I am calling the get data, where my retrofit instance will come handy, and it will create a you know it will create a instance of API client. And retrofit builder is already done in my API module. Once it will give me my retrofit, it will give me my retrofit builder dot build. So it will give me back and retrofit which is actually working. And see the mbase URL that I am passing from my Dagger sample application here, this one that I am using for to build my retrofit instance here. Now one more thing guys, yes, so here in my main activity presenter, again using that retrofit, I am making the call to get the data using the API, by the API call. And here I am getting the data inside on response, and if it is failing in some way, I will get it at on failure. Guys, I have not used all sort of edge cases that 501 or request code or 200, or is it any according to the response code. For ideally according to the response code you have to define your logic. But just because my main focus was for you guys to make Dagger to clear, I have not done this one. And what I have done here, if the response is successful, I am taking that in the model class. And I am running I am running a loop for loop. And here I am just printing the first name which will be coming from the API response. So just to make sure that these, and I am logging that one for you guys to see that okay, this is the way if we go through we can actually do some good stuff, cool stuff, and this is gonna work also. So other than that, I guess nothing. So we can run this thing, and we can see on our own. So if it can give us the names after the API call takes place using retrofit which is provided by Dagger. So my APK is getting installed. I am running in my mobile, so I am not running in the emulator. But once it comes up, you guys can see whether it is giving back or writing the names or not. So see guys, I have got my response back, and these are the names that is coming in the response. So my retrofit, which is provided by the Dagger, is actually working. Now so these are all the basic thing, but again I have shown here till now how to go ahead with Dagger, but I have not yet shown you how it is gonna make our life easier. Now think, in the main activity presenter I require this retrofit, right? I require this. Now what happens if I need it again in separate other class? So what do you guys have to do? Very basic thing. See, first of all, you have to go to your component, and there you have to define another method. You can name it same also. That is not a big deal. So maybe now I require my dependency to come in main activity. You write this. Go to your main activity now. Here. Now define a variable which is a type of retrofit, because I'll be providing retrofit. Okay, and also a type of OKHTTP client. Cool. Now what I will do, I'll go here in my on create, and I'll take my application instance. I will typecast it to my custom application, because this is where I have written my function to give me back my component. I'll get my component. I will inject, because now I am needing that in main activity, so I'll be using this first one, and I'll be passing my main activity instance. Done. Just before completing this one, I have forgotten to annotate this guys with @inject. Now at the runtime, rest assured, you guys will be having retrofit instance here also, OKHTTP client here also. So see guys, you will be defining only once, and using these annotations you will be getting as long as you want in any of the classes inside your project. That's all guys. And one more thing guys, all the people who are not aware of Kotlin, why I am using this late init var is, what late init var is going to do, any variable that at the time of instantiation you really don't want it to have any value, you can you can have late init var assigned to that one, so that Kotlin knows that okay, this is a variable which will be initialized later. So late init means later initialization. That's all guys. And that's all I guess, in the name of Dagger 2. And guys, one more thing is, now this is my first video. I don't know if I have helped you guys or not, but I really wanted to make it very crisp and focus on the implementation part of that one also. And I thought that I was maybe a little bit fast, but I am not, but I believe that this particular video has had all the basic fundamentals covered in terms of Dagger 2. And in future I'll be posting more videos like all the new stuff that is happening in and around Android, like room database, and your uh, everything like even the basic stuff like retrofit, even RX Java, and also your from an architecture standpoint, your MVP architecture, MVVM architecture. And so I'll be mainly focusing on all the stuff that is gonna make your Android development process very smooth and silky. So, guys, if you and one more thing, guys, if you are, again, I am saying, if you guys really are not too sure about Kotlin, you guys can again post. I will be uploading the same project in Java also, and who knows, maybe I'll be running another video tutorial for Kotlin also, and so that's it guys. If you like this video, you can like, you can comment also if you have any doubts, and I will be trying my best to reply to that. And if you feel that this might help you, you can share this also to your developer friends who can be also helped with this one. That's all, guys. Maybe see you in a separate video tutorial in a separate for a separate project. Till then, bye. Have a very good time. Thank you.